So my last video showed me wandering around in free mode trying to take out Oppressor Mk2s in a variety of ways, but in that video I never voiced any specific strategy in what I was doing other than, oh, these vehicles seem to work, these don't work so well. So today I wanted to go over some specific counters and strengths and weaknesses to those counters. Normally I don't make videos like this, but for a vehicle like the Oppressor Mk2, I think people need to know how to counter it. It's really difficult to get around if you don't know, like, some way to get around it. So I wanted to dedicate a in-depth video to this subject, and a couple things before we get started. Just to be clear, trading kills with this vehicle does not count as countering it, and using, like, say, an Oppressor Mk2 to counter another Oppressor Mk2, that's not a counter either. So I'm not going to be listing those kind of things in this video. So before we get into counters, let's look at what we have to deal with. So the Oppressor Mk2 has 20 missiles with top tier tracking, so they're virtually undodgeable. The bike itself is fitted with countermeasures, and even without them can reliably perform evasive maneuvers to dodge missiles. Its small size can make it difficult to locate and even harder to hit with anything, really. To make matters worse, if the rider is somehow separated from this vehicle, it can be quickly called back through the MC interaction menu. Oh my gosh, Rockstar, what were you thinking? So now that we know what we're dealing with, we can get into the counters. So my first section here is low risk counters. Counters that can be pretty reliable to taking on the Oppressor Mk2 rather, with minimal risk to yourself. So first on the list is the Stromberg. The Stromberg has enough armor to endure a few homing missiles before being destroyed. I believe it takes 6 homing missiles to destroy, and the Stromberg is actually fitted with its own missiles with top tier tracking, and the Oppressor Mk2 cannot dodge these. When going up against a Mk2 in a Stromberg, you want to charge straight at it, so the missiles coming your way will hit just behind you, and when they do that, they miss you completely. They don't do any damage to your vehicle, and that doesn't just work in the Stromberg, that works in any vehicle. But the only problems with this are, you need some space to charge at it in order to avoid the incoming missiles. If you don't have it, you're going to get hit over and over again, and when you're hit with a missile, the Stromberg often will flip over. And when that happens, you can't turn anymore to aim at the Mk2. So you'll just be bombarded with missiles until you die, and nobody wants that. Another problem with the Stromberg is its lock range. It's about half of what standard lock range is, if I'm not mistaken. So the Oppressor Mk2 will be able to lock onto you before you can. So that's kind of a problem. It could just stay out of range of your lock and eventually take you out, in theory. But what about underwater? Yes, the Stromberg is also a submarine vehicle. Homing rockets that enter the water do not hit the Stromberg when it's deep enough, and you can fire back with your own torpedoes. Yeah, this works. But when you're in submersible mode, the Stromberg lock range is cut again in half. So now you're at a quarter lock range from what standard is, so it could lock onto you from very far away. Granted, the missiles can't hit you, but you really can't do much to get it back. Maybe this is a good idea for just avoiding the damage altogether. And the Stromberg has one more problem: the map. The Stromberg has its own unique icon on the map, and any smart oppressor will turn tail and run if it sees a Stromberg get too close. Which is good, again, if you don't want to get killed, but you won't be able to get in range if it decides to run. Next on our list, armored vehicles, specifically the Insurgent and Night Shark, but if you want to go even more heavy duty, the Mobile Operations Center or the Terabyte work as well. We already know the Mk2 is fitted with 20 homing rockets, and that just isn't enough to take out these vehicles. If you're just sitting there, they will fire rockets relentlessly trying to kill you while you sit comfortably inside. You can use drive-by weapons like sticky bombs or automatic pistols, submachine guns to fire back, maybe get a lucky kill on them. Unfortunately, and as previously mentioned, the Mk2 can be quickly called back through the MC menu, meaning as soon as they run out of missiles, they have the option of spawning a new one, and all of a sudden they have more missiles, you don't have the health anymore to survive it, and that just ruins your day. Also, these vehicles can take a second to spawn in if you call your mechanic. Like, it's not instant, like if you called, like, through the MC menu, like a bike through the MC menu. It's not instant, you have to wait a second and you're vulnerable during that time. And the Mobile Operations Center can't even be spawned next to you. You have to go get it. Same with the Terabyte. Next on our list, we have Jets. Now, Jets is a tricky one. The way I think is best to counter the Mark II is stall. And what I mean by that is get them to fire missiles at you while you perform evasive maneuvers. I did this today in a laser, and it worked. You could probably do this in a plane like the Starling, but whenever I tried this, I always found a way to mess up my maneuvers, and I died because of it. But that's not the point. The point is, when they're out of their 20 rockets, all of a sudden you're in full control of the battle. They have no way to fight back. You can line up a shot however you like. They can't do anything to stop you. However, the problem with this is I found that if you ever stopped flying in circles to evade missiles and they had more ready to fire, and they did fire, I wouldn't be able to re-enter the evasive maneuver in time to save myself. A rocket would hit me and I would die. Also, the Mark II is like really, really stupid small. It's so hard to pick out a giant open sky, and it'll be even worse at night. It's just so hard to see. Especially on console when the render distance is a lot closer than PC. Even if you do manage to find it, you may not hit it. It does have the speed to get out of the way if you tried to hit it with, like, say, a laser. So that's pretty much my low risk list. Honestly, your best options, if I had to pick one, I'd say go with the second option, armored vehicles. You probably won't kill them, but they can't really do much to kill you. You have so much time to get somewhere safe, or just they may not even fire at you knowing they can't destroy your vehicle. Alright, so now that we've gotten those out of the way, I do have a second half to this list. These are high-risk counters, though. Counters that will likely get rid of the Mark II problem, but there's a lot more that could go wrong. There's a lot more risk in these. So on this list, we have the Ruiner 2000 and the Deluxo. Now, I already said that trading kills with something is not countering it, so why are these on the list? Well, I also said that when you charge straight at the Mark II, the rockets will miss. With that in mind, these vehicles do have a means of evading the Mark II's rockets, as well as being capable of destroying the Mark II, because they have good tracking missiles. Again, the problem with this is that you need a flat, open space. Or do you? You see, the Deluxo has this fancy little thing built into it called hover mode. In hover mode, the Deluxo will float above the ground, and all of a sudden, previously uneven terrain allows the Deluxo to move around as if it were on a flat surface. Meaning you can glide towards the Mark II and destroy it, all while comfortably evading missiles as they slam into the ground behind you. Do not fly high. This whole strategy banks on the incoming missiles hitting the ground behind you, so they can't spin around and get you. And so you need to stay near the ground. So the next two counters I'm about to, not suggest, but bring to light, let's say, will work best, if at all, in an auto-aim session. I mean, these are gimmicky at best, though, and untested, so, I mean, I don't know. Try at your own risk. So first up, fight on the ground. When a Mark II gets close to you, you can auto-aim onto the driver, shoot him off of that thing. You can even spawn BST to amplify your damage and do it quicker. Now, the problem with this is it is possible for the Mark II to line up a shot on you with a missile by this time, which makes this risky. And remember, the driver can still get off. They do not have to stay on this if they don't want to. So if they decide to land on a high place, like a building or something, they could like shoot rockets down at you, snipe at you. They have options. They're in full control of the positioning of that fight. And secondly, this is super gimmicky, probably a bad idea. It may not even work, but the Sea Sparrow. Okay, let me explain myself. The Sea Sparrow is a helicopter that can be fitted with chaff to stop missile locks from happening, but you can also have a passenger who I believe can still access their weapons. If I'm wrong, then this plan is a bust and I'm dumb, don't try this. I don't own one though, so I wouldn't know. Anyway, the passenger, when close enough, should be able to use auto-aim to shoot the driver off with no missiles being fired at you because of the chaff. Again, this is probably the most unnecessarily risky strategy I have here, but it would probably make for a cool kill. If someone actually pulls this off, send me a video of it and I will feature you on my channel or something, because I would love to see this. So to wrap up the video, I have a few other little things that may help you against an Oppressor Mk2. These can be used with other listed strategies. First off is they want targets, so give them targets. The Mk2 relies on locking onto you to hit you, but let's say you have cops all around you. How are they going to lock onto you with their missile tracking constantly looking at all the police around you? This can help you with longevity if you're in an armored vehicle or something. This will definitely help waste their missiles. Secondly, drag them into small spaces. The Mk2's agility and speed are useless once it's been confined to a small space. This will also help put you at close range, allowing you to potentially shoot them off, and renders their evasive maneuvers useless, so you could use homing rockets. Let's say you're being chased down a tunnel by a Mk2, and you just, let's say, happen to put a proximity mine or two down you. Well, we could also say that you won't have a problem with that Oppressor Mk2 anymore. If you've lasted this long, thank you so much for sticking around. I hope you found this helpful. Is there something I missed that you thought of and I didn't list here? Leave a comment. I'm sure everyone else wants to know what it is. I know I do. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you around.